Kia ora, Rachel. It is an absolute delight to finally have you here at our Dunedin Stories podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Took a bit to get you here.
I took a little bit of a year hiatus.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And young Charlie is in daycare today.
He is.
All the stars aligned.
Yes, he's not sick.
No snotty nose.
No.
It is awesome. And it really is lovely to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise. Really nice to be here.
So, Startup Dunedin. I'll spill the tea straight from the start. That's kind of why we're so familiar with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've known you for 30 years, although you're probably not even that old yet. Do you want to let the community know who you are and what Startup Dunedin is?
Yeah, sure. So, kia ora, my name's Rachel Butler. I'm the General Manager at Startup Dunedin. So, we're a team of 3 and a bit, and we exist to help and connect anyone wanting to start up with an idea or grow that idea in Dunedin. So that might be a business, it might be a not-for-profit, it might be a social enterprise. People have lots of different definitions for startups, and we include all of them in that.
How long has Startup Dunedin been a thing?
It's a great question. It has had many different life forms over the last 15 plus years. So depending on who you meet, they've probably got quite a different definition of what it's looked like over the years. But we're very lucky that there's been some long-term commitment in the leadership of Dunedin that they see entrepreneurship as a really vital part of the city. So while it's had ebbs and flows, we're pretty lucky that it's been around for as long as it has.
Key partners, Tug University,
Otago Polytechnic and Dunedin City Council. So it's very unique in its model, even looking around the country, that collaboration has been built in, not just in its funding and its structure, but they also all have a seat around the board. So it means when we're making plans, we're hyper connected to directions of those important partners.
So those really awesome stories that I've been a part of or witnessed from the outside that I've seen over the 15 years. Yeah. So our business is 15 years old, and I remember being very aware of, can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was an upstart house. So maybe it was called Upstart. I don't know.
It was called Upstart.
There we go. Yeah. From back then. And to see it now and so many of the different programs that you run and the impact that you're having. Do you want to sort of describe a couple of those main programs that you've got? So
we have kind of 3 core ways of getting involved with Startup Dunedin. So our first one is our free check-ins. So free meetings. Anyone can book 15 minutes with us anytime, as many times as they like. It sounds very short, but that's about not overwhelming people with information. It's all on Google. Like, it's all there. Just where do you start? The to-do list when you're making a business or growing it is monstrous. And so that's about connecting with people where they're at, what does success look like to them, what are their needs right now, and making sure they're aware of all the different supports. So we saw close to 200 in the last financial year of those, which is amazing. We then have a program that you're very familiar with called Audacious. So Audacious is what I first moved to for the role, and Audacious is an entrepreneurship program for anyone studying at the university or Polytech, and they're in the same room. So you get this really cool cross-pollination of applied learning and your more academic learning, and they build businesses alongside each other in a year. That's free. We have cash prizes at the end of it, and that's about encouraging students to solve problems, use their degrees in different ways, and give it a go when the risk is a little bit lower when you're a student. And our last one is the Distiller Incubator, and this is about those high growth thinking global startups, and it's basically like giving them a network. It's a really lonely niche thing that you're doing, whatever that goal is. And so if you're hiring people for the first time, if you're looking to raise capital for the first time, those rooms are about putting them together, learning from each other, learning from people that have done it before. And we have an incredible startup coach, Pete Lead, who does some one-on-ones as well.
Highly awesome person, that one.
Human.
Yeah. Any big sort of stories that you wanted to share or successes, out of the Audacious program? I mean, I know that there's a few.
I should just ask you.
No, don't ask me, because I've obviously got some favourites. But is there anything in particular or anyone that stands out?
I think one of the coolest for a Dunedin story was a couple of students who used to go to the rugby games and see the cups everywhere and go come on, we can do better, but also what do we do with this waste? And so they piloted reusable cups called Globlet. They've rebranded over the last few years as Turn, but they're now in all of the American football stadiums. They're at the Dunedin Craft Beer Festival. They are international. And I love that it was a student problem. It was grown in Dunedin, and now it is this global phenomenon.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
It's a cool problem.
Yeah. Where's their manufacturing?
Great question. No idea.
That's all right. You can't be expected to know
No.
everything, because that's the other
I'd
thing,
imagine
isn't
it's
it?
overseas now,
Now,
but
you've
I
met
could be wrong.
200 people in the first financial year.
Yeah.
You've had hundreds, if not thousands, of success stories.
Mhm.
And a success story isn't necessarily a business that's grown.
100%.
It's a decision not to continue because actually this isn't a real problem.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to raise. A huge part of what we do that's really hard to communicate is that capability building, because deciding not to continue means you've learnt the process. It might be the timing isn't right. It might be that personally it's not the right time for you because it is a massive investment. But we hope that capability stays in the city and that people take that, and it makes them better board members. It makes them better at fundraising for their local sports teams. It makes them better volunteers in their community, because entrepreneurship is a skill set at the end of the day.
We all make mistakes. Even those well-seasoned entrepreneurs still make mistakes. So I love that learning that you've got there. 3 and a bit people, you said. I'm pretty sure there must be a larger support crew behind the scenes, perhaps. Is there some key people on the board that support you in this mahi?
Yeah, we're very lucky with our board. So it's made up with a representative from each organisation. So we have Jamie Reddy from DCC, we have David Thompson from the university, and we have Joe Kirkwood from the Polytech. And then we have some independents as well. So we have Amy, who's involved in arts, DCC. We have Scott Mason, who's been involved in the investing scene for years. We have Janine Carper, who's just joined, which is really exciting. And I'm checking if I've forgotten anyone. I don't think so.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
That's some pretty strong, eclectic...
Oh, Wade Pearson. I always forget the chair. Sorry, Wade.
Shout out to Wade. I'm sure you will understand.
Everyone knows
that.
Wade's on the board. It's okay.
Yeah. No, and the diversity that you've got on offer there, the insights and the different capabilities and age and stage, it's an incredible offering for our city and our students.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Do you think Dunedin offers something unique? I know it's unique from the Dunedin City Council and Otago Polytechnic and Otago University are the partners, but is Dunedin unique for startups?
Obviously, healthy bias, but I think yes. But I think it's unique in 2 ways. I think it's our size. We've got the infrastructure, that we have a lot of the capability here, but we're small enough that you know everyone's first name. There's no CEO that you can't get a coffee with in Dunedin. Anyone will have coffee with you once. We can't guarantee twice, that's on you, but almost everyone will agree to it for the first time. But the second thing is I think there's an attitude difference. It's not a cute idea. Lovely, let me know how it goes. It's a, what do you need? Have you talked to this person? Such and such built this 10 years ago. You should give them a call. So I think that attitude shift is a really big one. People believe the next big idea or the next thing that could help or change community could be started by a 17-year-old, by someone who's coming out of retirement to build a widget. You've got the whole spectrum. Yeah,
I love the size answer as well. I often say, 130,000 people on a good day when all the students are here, and that from a testing perspective it's just the perfect size to be able to test a product or a service or bounce an idea around. And I think, my fond memories of Startup Weekend and how you can really achieve quite a cut through into, sometimes 10% of that 130,000 people will be engaged over the weekend on some level.
So Startup Weekend's how I fell into this. So I used to work in economic development in Invercargill, and I was asked to go as part of my professional development to go to Startup Weekend in Dunedin, because we were coming up to tap into the energy of the startup ecosystem and kind of bring it down to Southland. And I begged not to go. I was like, I'm going to lose my current job. Like, I'm not creative. I know very little about business. This is an absolute stitch up. Begged.
You thought they were heading for a constructive dismissal because you wouldn't have...
100%. And I was like, they're going to see that I'm not capable of my current job. And it was the coolest thing. Because the
special way,
the network you can build, how many favors you can pull in to get stuff to happen, the energy, it's exhausting, but that was
we might see it return maybe in the near distant far future.
I love the energy of Startup Weekend. I think there's an accessibility challenge. Weekends are really precious. People have families and jobs, and so that's sort of where our check-ins came from. We were actually having a conversation about the committee that builds Startup Weekend, and all of the hours that go into that. If you had all of those people and you had all of those hours, what is the best way of using them for the community? Is it a Startup Weekend? And that's kind of where we started piloting these 15-minute check-ins and little coffees with people to go, how can we build that capability and make the most of our great mentor network, but lower the barrier to entry, because there's already so many reasons that people don't access support or don't see themselves as an entrepreneur. There's a lot of stigma is not quite the right word, but there's a lot of barriers when it comes to identifying as a business or a startup.
I will miss the roller coaster that we would go through with Startup Weekend.
It's not saying never, but
excellent.
Yeah,
Who
maybe
knows?
one day.
So you dropped in there that you're originally from Invercargill. I have noticed there is some slight roll of the R.
Yeah, never shook it. Yeah.
You came to Startup Weekend. Did you never leave, or did you have to go back again and then say sorry?
I signed up for the Startup Dunedin newsletter. And it would come to my work inbox, and they were advertising the Audacious Manager, which sat with the university, and I always loved being around the tertiary sector. I love the guest lectures. I love what people are really nerding out on. I think that's why I love startups, because they're people that are experts in very, very niche things, because they're solving these really unique problems. And so I threw my hat in the ring. My partner at the time had just moved to Queenstown to be closer to me. And I was like, brilliant, I'm just going to add another hour to that commute. Thanks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's it. The rest is sort of history, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Dunedin's got its grips firmly into the whānau.
Absolutely. We often talk about A, how grateful we are to be here, but B, there's nowhere else in New Zealand we'd rather live.
You're all about innovation and change and forward thinking, obviously. Building businesses alongside of entrepreneurs, that's just the sweet spot, isn't it? When you're thinking about the future of a program or an organisation like Startup Dunedin, what's happening in that space from an innovation perspective? Obviously, there'll be some delivery that's been changed.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really great question, because we're a little not-for-profit, and there's certain things we have to deliver for our stakeholders. But for us, it's about making sure it's relevant and useful, and that the right people can use it. So a few years ago, we mapped the ecosystem. So one of the privileges with entrepreneurship that we don't always talk about is social capital and the network. And so I know you can make an introduction for me. But how many people don't have those connections in to that social network to understand, did you know that Startup Dunedin exists? Do you know that regional business partner exists? Do you know that you can get this tool online? And so we mapped who was talking to who within organisations and where the gaps were. And that's where we started reprioritising some of our time to go, what communities aren't engaging, and is that because we're not offering what they need? Is the barrier to entry too high? Is it the way we talk about stuff? And so some of the changes we make are just in our language. Startup comes with so much jargon, and there's no need for it. It's this silicon frat boy kind of vibe that comes with startup, whereas entrepreneurship is a bunch of tools that should be available to everyone. Yeah,
and everything is on the internet. But not everybody knows how to seek that out, or they need somebody alongside of them that's maybe got some experience in doing it before.
One of the most common misunderstandings, particularly in Dunedin, is that entrepreneurship is for the young, whereas often it's people who are from industry, because they know where the really meaty problems are. And particularly if they've run a business before, the support didn't exist. And so they don't go looking for it because they didn't know. And so even things like the Callaghan grants that exist, people don't go looking for them because they didn't exist when they last built a business. And so a lot of what we do is just making sure people know all the different options and resources out there.
I'm going to slightly segue, or there's no segue opportunity, so we're going to talk about the local scene, if you like.
Okay.
Now, I'm aware that you may have eloped a little over a year ago.
Yep.
And you and your wonderful partner designed a day in the life, or a day of pleasures, shall we say. What was that day? How did that roll out?
So for some context, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. So it's a very risky
Not
decision.
right now.
Not right now. At the time.
Yes.
And we've always been quite spontaneous in when we decide to do things. And he just mentioned it on the couch one night, and I thought there's very little time to pull that off. And so we made a no-go list of what we actually needed. Could we get the marriage license in time? Could we get a celebrant in time? And luckily we work with a lot of different businesses. So the founder of Pedals, the courier company, was our celebrant.
Oh, was he?
Yep.
We love him.
A wicked student photographer. Did all the photos. We went to Nichols Falls, Smales Beach and Lovers Leap. We had bean me out bagels for breakfast because we wanted no admin. So we had bean me out bagels for breakfast.
Was it the salmon or was it halloumi or?
You can just buy a bunch. We just bought the box of takeaway. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Just to feed everyone over the day. So we had a catering box of that. We went for a cocktail at Woof while we waited for our pizza bar pizza to be ready. We ran into Aaron Hawkins at Woof just as we were running in. And then...
So he was the first... That was
the first
involved, that was able
happened.
to congratulate you.
Yeah.
That's pretty special.
And then had tartan cake when we got home.
That was just one big Dunedin day.
It was. Very Dunedin-centric.
I love it.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, good on you.
Perfect day.
Another Dunedin question, and I know that you've probably put a bit of thought into this. If you were given the opportunity to have a Ocho hot chocolate or whatever it might be, with a Dunedin legend. They might have passed away. Hopefully they're still here so that we can arrange this to happen. What would that be and why?
I've thought about this a lot, and my answer is someone I never really got to think, but it's a professor from the university who passed away recently, which is very sad. But Damien Scarf, he was my favourite lecturer at the university, and I loved his story because he failed math at high school a bunch of times. He had to really fight his way into university, and he stumbled upon pigeons and psychology of animals. And it was his great love, and it lit him up. And so when he talks about his research and what he did, it's very much ethos that I've carried into Audacious, and we meet with students. And so I'd love to have coffee with him and thank him because he was just amazing, and he's really set so much of the attitude that I have for the way I work.
I'd love you to be able to have a coffee with him too.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
Very sad. He was a phenomenal human.
It was an outpouring of grief for him, eh?
Yeah. He just had such a gift and was also so good at challenging you. He was a very tough lecturer one-on-one. You did not want to be in a conversational sparring match with him. You would not win.
Fond memories.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, it seems like we're already going a little bit below the surface with that question and that answer. So shall we go a little bit further below the surface? So you might have seen this. We've only rolled this out once with another participant, the lovely Andy Howe. But the way it goes is it's a New Zealand designed game, and I'm fairly sure that you'll be into these types of things. It's called A Social Game of Conversation and Connection, designed by Carly Shorter and Mark Glenn. We've got 3 levels. So we've got level 1 questions, level 2 and level 3. And we can just stay at level 1 if you wouldn't like to go too far below the surface. I'm going to randomly pick a question.
Okay.
And what movie or book character do you most identify with? And how come?
Those are so tricky. What's in my Rolodex of movies? We watched Bridget Jones last night, which is so tragic to have that as my
Is that the new one, My Baby Boy or something?
We're working our way through the old ones.
Before you go to the new one.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I wouldn't say.
The fireman's pole is something that you connect with?
Absolutely. That's my dream for interior decoration.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go level 2?
Yeah, let's just jump up one.
That's so good. Okay. If you could sit by a campfire for an hour, we've had a very similar question to this, with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I will branch out and say we have a lot of long-distance family. So I think I would invite everyone back from Canada, Australia, the UK, and we'd just sit around the campfire. That'd be really nice.
Anybody play guitar? Would there be some music?
My brother plays guitar, and not terribly, which is nice. So, yeah.
That's really cool. Great. You've got to have that at a campfire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for a level 3. These seem to be quite easy.
Go on. Yeah. I'm going to regret this now, though, aren't I?
Okay. What event from the past would you most like to repeat?
What event from the past? Great question.
Isn't it?
Based on what we've talked about, how fun would it be to go back and do another startup weekend? So get all of the people who have built stuff in Dunedin, like Celebrity Treasure Island, but it's startup weekend with people that have built stuff in Dunedin. We'd bring them back from all over the different parts of the world. They have to make teams, and we see what they all do.
Okay, this is the moonshot project for Startup Dunedin.
How good would it be?
There must be some type of anniversary thing coming up in the next X number of years.
Definitely.
We've got a West Side Hustle going here, right?
Like that. 5 years of saving and rallying fundraising. We can pull it off.
I think it might take us a couple of years to do it.
Yeah, New Zealand will sponsor all the flights back, right?
Oh, of course.
We can make that happen.
Tap into those banks and insurance companies and financial brokers.
Yeah.
We've got this.
Yeah.
Wrap up question. What's 2025 going to look like for Startup Dunedin? Anything particularly exciting that you want to share? Or?
I'm just so excited to be back. I've been on maternity leave for a year. You don't know how you're going to feel.
I'm excited to be back too.
I just have one of the coolest jobs in the world. You get to work with people who are so creative, building cool things. We've just closed our first microgrants fund, which is like little puts of funding just to help and encourage projects to continue. And there's like a youth-led film. There's, tech for good. There's tech looking at, accessibility challenges. It's just...
Tongan food truck.
Yeah. So many cool things coming and I get to have a front row seat. So I'm just so excited.
Yeah, there is some jealousy, I'm sure, from many ilk as to the role that you get to play.
Yeah.
But you do it with such style. I love watching what you do, Rach. Thank you so much.
No, I'm very lucky. It's a very cool city. And again, you say we're a team of 3 and a bit, but we stand on the shoulders of everyone who's done it before, but all of the favours we call in. People always ask about our budgets and we say it's just a lot of flat whites. It's pretty much how Startup Dunedin is. Yeah.
And is the bit Pete lead in Australia, or is it the awesome puppy that when you arrive at Startup Dunedin?
Both.
Okay.
So we've got Kenzie and Grace in the team in Dunedin full time. We've got Pete, who was in Dunedin, now based in Australia, and Lou, the office dog. So there's a final plug for Startup Dunedin. Come meet Lou, he's the best.
And how do people find you if they want to?
So everything is on our website, startupdunedin.nz. You can find times in our calendar that are free. You can read about our programs. If there are times that don't suit, just reach out to one of the team one-on-one or drop by.
Thank you so much, Rach.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest of this year and let's get together and talk about this celebrity startup weekend.
Yeah, great idea. We'll play some more of that game.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. See you soon.
Thanks.